Hey guys, this is DOD, aka Dark Frozen Deaths, back with another Kamihime project video. This one I wanted to bring up because there's a few things that's changed, and they're pretty important, so just to give y'all a heads up. And sorry this video took a little bit to come out after the new patch, because there's some things that I wanted to double check and go over. But first off, there was a gacha that we just recently had that ended called the Kamihime Galore Gacha. If you have pulled it before a certain point where they changed the description, you did get refunded your star coins already. In fact, I've already done so. That's why I'm stuck with 20 because I use them on other things. But yeah, that's already happened. If you haven't accepted it already, it should be in your inbox. But that's only if you have pulled that gacha before the description changed. Anybody that pulled it after, which I think was I think the 26th was the anything after that was the point where you couldn't get it, then yeah, no refund for anybody for that pulled after that. But a few things. Starting off, the mission tab. They have changed the missions again. From what I've noticed, they don't even have the mission where you upgrade the add-ons anymore. It looks like it's been moved to material quests. They've given you some more weapon EXP orbs as well, and some other things that have changed. But you guys can do that. The weekly one is way more important though, because I've already done it, but apparently if you have, well no, I didn't do it in fact, but if you have started or joined enough raids, you can now get purple medals. What this means is that even though it isn't that much, and it is weekly, keep that in mind, but this does give everyone in the game access to these purple medals, even on day one. If you do 3 weeks of this quest, you can get one of the Zodiac weapons. What this means is that it makes it a little bit easier for the earlier grinders and whatnot, because normally you do not get access to these purple medals until you are able to start accessing the Guardian Plus raids, which is these raids right here. And I'll cover the screen in a second too. That's new. So where it says Ragnarok Plus and above, also this anonymous raid, like you'll see all the different ones that have the purple medals. That's when you're normally able to get them. And to even get access to a lot of this stuff, you need higher ranks, like rank 140. This one, once you have rank 120, normally you don't have access to that. So that means that by default, these medals, like these purple medals for this stuff here, you normally would not get them until much later. It depends on how fast you can grind to that point, but my suggestion is never to speed run ranks, because you do want to be able to handle some stuff along the way. But 3 weeks will let you get one of these, and these are the two types that you probably want to go for. The Vigor, which upgrades pretty well, or the Rebellion, which again upgrades to the same thing, they just swap out Vigor and Rebellion. My suggestion, early players, do not worry about Elaborate. You can use ultimate raid weapons in order to be like a placeholder for those elaborate ones. It's more important to get these because you normally don't have access to Vigor until the Guardian raids, and Dark doesn't even get access to that unless you've done like specific fights. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see a Rebellion weapon until now, unless you've gotten lucky on gacha pools or maybe some specific event has happened. So that's a huge change. I had to point that out. Another huge change. This menu has been updated and redone. You can go straight to Trial Heavenly Awakening as well. But you'll notice that there's a few things that aren't here anymore. That is Guild Order and the Advent Battle, which is like the permanent Advent Battle. The permanent Advent Battle have been moved to Epic Quests. You will find them at the bottom of the list. So, pick them, do them, go through them. If you've already done them, you get more magic jewels from doing them again. The bigger thing, though, is the fact that Guild Order has been moved to the weekly quest, and that's why I showed that as well. It's either daily or weekly quest, but you get your Orichao Con from doing that now. So it's a lot easier, it's less tedious, but that also means that if you have never gotten the weapons from Guild Order, you've lost your chance to add them to this one thing called the library over here. Because the library has archives of literally everything that you've gotten, period point blank, including some old weapons and unknown ones that we can't even get anymore. So anybody that wanted to complete the library, you got that as well. So that's something to know. Like, these are really old, these enhanced materials. They've long been out of the game for years. But that's only for people that cared about completing the library, because the weapons themselves are not all that good anymore. They've stopped being good a long, long time ago. But the biggest glaring thing, this new thing called the Dream Pandemonium Palace. This is our new version of Tower. It has been something that I've been talking about for a while. I've been giving people a heads up. Speaking of which, if you still have the medals from the previous versions of Tower, you have 1 month to use them. 1 month. Because I do believe at the end of this month, they are gone. But if you followed my suggestion, you've used the medals already because you can't get any more. We instead get different medals from this, and we're rewarded basically every month. Like it says, the next reward update is the 1st of October. Me personally, I've only done one, and I'm going to have to go through and do others. I'd rather just upgrade my stuff because you get like a whole month before the reward anyway. But generally going by the ranking, these are all the burst towers and whatnot. In fact, the person in first place is actually on my Union Discord. They're really good at knowing what they're doing as well in this game. But they also spend a lot, so it's kind of hard to follow their strategies if you want to try to mimic their teams. But anyways, you can see that there's scores for everybody basically right here. Like, you got these, you got these. Me personally, I only did like level 50, but there's some people that's doing like level 400 plus for some of these, so yeah. It depends on how strong you are, how good you have stuff, and whatnot. My suggestion to you, though, is to still try and just clear as high as possible, if you can. If you want to be super lazy, you can just clear a level 1 and still get rewards. But my suggestion is to do as high as possible as you can. The trick to doing this, and I'm not going to do an actual challenge. Ignore this because this was just for a meme thing. It does go up to like basically level 100,000 almost, but you do not want to do that. The trick to this is picking a floor that you know you can handle, or have a good idea that you can handle, trying to clear that. If you cleared that, maybe go a little bit higher. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure I can clear this floor right here. I just need to rework my team. So that's something to know. But the scoring system for this is that it is the floor you cleared times 100. And because I've cleared this floor, if anything I do on 451 is also going to be counted to the score. So it is the floor you cleared plus anything done on the floor after. If you clear floor 100, your progress on 101 is also counted. You get 1 point for every 1% that you have cleared. So that's how the score is. But the thing with these fights is the fact that these enemies get tougher the lower the HP drops. The 50% mark is really the turning point because it gets like a permanent damage increase, but it also takes more damage too. And 30% is where you really want to try and finish the fight, because if you haven't finished up at 30%, you're going to start getting nuked if you're facing an enemy that you could handle but still need to defend against. Naturally, the higher the floor, the harder the enemy. And if you've seen my meme video of a max level enemy, you've noticed that they've done like tens of millions of damage. Honestly, the fail trigger at turn 20 doesn't matter that much if you're getting hit that hard. But on the lower floors, it's way, way easier. Because the lowest floor, they happen to be on par with, I would say, these raids right here. Like, they would be on par with these raids right here. This Ragnarok Catastrophe raid where you get these phantom weapons. I would say they'd be about as hard as that. Maybe even easier, because there's a specific mechanic in there that's just like the Union events. and it's just like the guild competition, speaking of which we're about to have another one anyway, where if you have elemental advantage, you get increased final damage, and on top of that too, if your whole team is elemental advantage, it doesn't have to be the sub slots though, but if the whole team is elemental advantage, then the final damage is increased even further. Basically, you get like 4 times the damage like that. These do resist specific types of damage, so be careful with that. And the HP of all these enemies, you generally want to have it so it's like a specific level you can handle, because when it comes to the HP amounts of all these enemies, the thing is, it is 10 million plus their floor count times 20 million. So floor 1 has 30 million HP basically, but something like this absurd setting I just randomly did, this is like trillions of HP basically. It's like almost 2 trillion. So again, handle what you can go for. Like, seriously handle what you can go for. Like, even trying to take on this enemy with elemental advantage, I'm confident I can clear this floor because of this stuff that I got. But again, this favors burst, so you want burst damage here. There's going to be ones for normal attacks and abilities. When the ability one comes, I will be going completely crazy with the Beethoven team that actually got the 450 kill on Dark. But that's the thing. It's like you have to have specific setups of damage. You want to try and use elemental advantage. This is why you basically want to raise everybody in the game if you can, just to try and get the most of the stuff. Now, as for the rewards, though, is based on ranks. Entirely based on ranks. This is where the magic jewels come in. But I wouldn't worry too much about the magic jewels. Your main thing is just trying to even get on the ranking list. They have ranks as well as this, but as far as I know, our player base isn't even that high. So it is ridiculously easy just to get the 25,000 medals to even get the brick. So just do the content, period. Just do even one level, and you should be able to get a decent amount of stuff on this one. And of course the medals are here. Like, this is your last chance to trade for tower. But the Pandemonium, if you want this weapon break limit thing, you get 15,000 for each one. Just doing the content should get you somewhere around 25,000, so that's more than enough. It'll give you enough to basically get the weapon break limit thing and 2 Dragonic Eyes each month. Maybe you might want to save up and get some other stuff like this miracle ticket. These are actually very useful. You want to get some stingers for water or dark, or just get some old Hime you don't have. Maybe you want to go for a random chance of an SSR. You can save up medals for that too. And then they also have these Dragonic Eye shards as well if you really want to go that route. So there's that. They have cheaper versions of these accessory things too. I may or may not get them occasionally just to try and help with RNG. But my personal opinion, you probably are better at just getting the eyes because we're starting to need them more. So there's that. And then there's a weapon break limit set, of course. That's very easy. As far as I know, if you basically do the event, you're guaranteed this. Period, point blank. But depending on the player base, you may or may not get the 25,000. But you are guaranteed to get one of these weapon break limits by doing this event. Clear any level 1. Any level 1. And you're good. That's all I have to say for that. Now, one last thing is, of course, the obvious thing on the side, the limited characters. I've already gone through a video that goes over their stuff. In fact, I've actually tried pretty hard to get some of them. But, generally, they're both very good for Beethoven teams. However, this one right here, the light one, kind of does get replaced by Samuel, who's like a few months out. So if you don't happen to get her, that's a thing. But she's still good at what she does right now, because she has some pretty low cooldown stuff. When you use yellow abilities 5 times, it resets this blue one. And this is, as far as I know, one of the few characters in the game that you'll ever be able to have that will spam blue abilities for light. So that can be helpful for some of the Beethoven teams if you try to set that up. Remember how Beethoven works? You do about different ability colors, so she's already capable of generating green if you want. She can manipulate some red, maybe some blue, some yellow. There's that. The one that's better at manipulating red is the water one right now. And she can spam these abilities a little bit. She got like 4 of them. And then there's like a reduction on her first ability whenever there's enough red or yellow. So there you go. That said, they can be useful if you pull them. You don't have to go out of your way for them, but they are limited. We get another shot at them though, from what I found out. Way later down the line, there's another collab that they're having, another tech cross collab. They're the ones that made this game, that made our Akashi Rumble, which is still Japanese exclusive. They made a few other games I can't remember the name of, but they have collabs with us. Legend Clover is one of them. Tech Cross has a collab Gacha that you can pull later down the line that will have these guys, some of the ones we just missed as well. So we will have more shots at some of these characters. So that's something to know. I do believe these guys are from Tech Cross, the Wings. I do believe it, but I'm not 100% sure. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. I'll even make sure people can see it. But again, some of the collab stuff does come back. So we do happen to get a few more shots at a certain specific ones. For anybody that's saving for the DXD collab, they don't have a confirmed rerun just yet, so there you go. They have some characters from it, but it's Kamihime specific characters. So there's that. But anyways, that's all for this. More will come soon. Like I said, I cannot stress this enough. The rewards are so generous for this that really trying to clear higher floors is either to try and get more rewards for magic jewels and maybe some more medals too, or it's just simply out of ego. Because again, you can get up to 26,000 for medals, but that stops, I do believe, at the top 500? No, top 300. So anything below the top 300 is going to get less than 26,000. But just clearing it will basically give you 25,000. Because I don't even think there's 10,000 people on the server. I don't even think there's 5,000 on the server. So that said, there you go, easy medals. And even then, it wouldn't be too much to ask if there was like 50,000 people on the server, because I do believe the JP side doesn't even have more than 50,000. So there you go. But anyways, that's all for this. More will come soon. Again, enemy levels do dictate how hard they hit and how much HP they have. If you're doing level 1, it's basically like doing a Ragnarok catastrophe raid, but with like 4 times damage if you use an advantage. So it is in your favor. And for a record too, the level 100 fights are, I do believe, double the HP of Loki, but they definitely do hit as hard, if not harder, than Loki, so be careful. You may need some defensive setups to go with your damage dealers. But regardless, you have a 20 turn limit before it spams a failure trigger, so be careful. But anyways, that's all for this. More will come soon, and take care.